Hey guys, how's it going? It is Kire here with Hey guys, how's it going? It is Kire here with my thoughts on Aether Gazer. This is a new gacha game that came out for global launch. So, new gacha game, global launch about 2 days ago at this point. Currently level 33. This is probably about 5 to 6 hours worth of gameplay, if I had to guess. And I wanted to give my first impressions on this game. Keep in mind, when it comes to these games, they definitely, the pain points come later. So this is just, is this game fun? You pick it up, or you can have a good time immediately. Kind of, these are my thoughts about it. Definitely different than the normal stuff that I do, which is turn-based, like strategy games, like Honkai Star Rail, Infinite Magic Raid, Raid, Shadow Legends, stuff like that. So this is like a Genshin-style action game, and we'll talk about the combat here in a bit. But so far, feels very smooth, really intuitive. I like the combat system in this game. How it works, it's you have 3 characters on your team, and you'll bring 3 characters. It's not like Genshin in the sense that you have a character here that's fully controllable by you, and then you switch to another one, and you switch to another one potentially. In this game, you have your main character, your main DPS, and then you have the 2 supports behind them that are controlled by the computer, and they're always out doing stuff. So a little different there. The thing I really like about this game so far is the combat system is really cool. And based on the characters that you're choosing, the combos you can do and the different changes are actually really interesting based on the character. And I think this character highlights it. Maybe not the most complex kit, but for example, there'll be other characters that'll showcase, like for example, this character that has a really interesting kit based on how the ordering of your moves. I waited and recorded footage of this character, because this character also you could farm, every account can get her. So I think she's a good example. I had another reroll that used this character, and I think he's really cool too, because based on like ordering, it changes. He has like a kind of a chess pattern where it's like his main move is changing between a rook, a knight, or a queen, and then he has another move that drops a king, and then based on how many kings are down, he does more damage, like more AoE damage. So very cool character there. This character also very cool. Like, I just like how interesting the combat mechanics are, and how the strategy you can do, and how it how your rotation changes based on the ordering of the moves and stuff like that. And then also probably based on like your supports and stuff. Cool there. Something that could potentially be confusing is like the S tier ranks, because there's S tier and A tier characters when you pull them initially, but what happens is they'll rank up if you get duplicates. So you'll see, for example, Poseidon, and then also it gets even more confusing, because if you see, for example, this character is the free-to-play healer version of Poseidon, but there's an S tier version of Poseidon that you can pull that will do like AoE damage. But then you'll be like, okay, well, she's S tier. But the reason why she's S tier is because I ranked her up. I was able to transcend her by getting duplicates, because in the story, as you progress through, she's one of the main characters. You're going to get more duplicates of her. And then as you rank her up, she's now S tier. And then if you get more duplicates of the other one or her, she's going to go beyond S tier. Keep that in mind. Like, a lot of these characters are like initially B, like this is a tier character, but looks S tier because I pulled a couple duplicates of him. So keep that in mind. And then you have like the main banner character here. And then you can also see her again right here. This is like the A tier version of her. Notice how she looks different. And then of course in this game, like they're gonna, so I just wanted to kind of talk about that. If you're thinking about playing this game, just keep that in mind. That's a whole nother thing. I'll probably do a couple of videos on this game. I think this is not like a revolutionary version of these style games, but I think it's gonna be fun for a bit. You got Wuthering Waves coming here soon. Honkai Star Rail's out. There's a lot of competition. Diablo 4 is coming out. Ton of games out here, but I think this is a pretty fun game that I'm gonna pick up for a bit. And depending on how well it does, well, it might get more support. I believe they've announced the PC clients coming through. It seems pretty solid so far. And then a couple of things that are worth mentioning is the reroll system super easy. I feel like there's 2 ways you can look at it. Whereas nowadays rerolling, it's either should be built into the game or you should make it easy. And they went with the make it easy category. And how it works is you just get to stage 1, 2. I was re-rolling. It probably takes about 20 minutes in total, maybe even 15 minutes in total to re-roll your account, get to 1, 2. Then you go to the mail, and then you'll have everything in here. So you'll have like 1,000 of this is the premium currency. 200 of this is going to get you a pull. So a 10 pull would be 2,000 of this. And then you also get another 200 here. You get another 2,000 right now, so because of the 500,000 downloads, so that's 3,000 of the currency. That's like a pull, like 10 pull and a half. Then you get 30 of the other banner. And so in that initial banner there, to get a guaranteed 5-star, you need 40. So you get 30 here on this mailbox thing, and then you get another 10 here. So you'll start with, just right off the rip, when you go to scan here, and that's like their term for pulling, you're going to have 40 pulls here, so you can guarantee an S rank. And then you can also get this. So on my account, and it's the pity system is just like Genshin, but a little bit more forgiving in the sense that it's 70 pulls and then 50-50 on, do you hit the rate up banner character or do you hit the other one? And then after that, another 70. So I don't like 50-50 systems like this, but at least it's a little bit more forgiving than Genshin if they're going to do it at all. And then this character apparently is S tier all the way even next year as like one of the best DPS characters in the entire game. So I'll definitely pull for this character. If you mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you like different characters. If there's other characters that are more fun to play, definitely pull for them. But if you want like a guaranteed meta character for a very long time, this is the character to pull for. And then on my account, I just got incredibly lucky on my reroll. It only took me about 3 rerolls, and then I first pulled her, and then I ended up first pulling a different character, and they also happen to synergize. So you can just sit here and reroll as much as you want, and then I would definitely try to go for this character. And then also from the amount of pulls I've gotten after playing for a bit, and then what people have been saying in other videos, you're basically going to be guaranteed to get this character if you want to pull for her, even if you miss the 50-50. Like, they're going to give you enough resources to do that, is my understanding. And based on how many resources I've gotten so far, I want to say that's pretty true. And then also there's pretty generous early events here, like this novice sign-in newcomer event. For example, day 1, you get this character. Day 2, you're going to get another 10 pull. And then day 3, you're going to get another 10 pull. And then you get, this is the currency. So notice how it's the same character. This is the currency that ranks up the characters. It's like, if I pulled a duplicate of her, that's what that currency would be. I think it's pretty cool that they're doing this. And then you also get a good 10 pull. Oh, this is like for a functor. And so light cones in Honkai Star Rail, they call them functors. I don't know why they have these weird ass names for weapons in these games, but that's the weapon in this. And then here's like the functor scan thing. I'm kind of messing with that. I don't know if this is worth actually pulling for, but you want to like match based on what like symbol here is on your character. You want to match that. And then you also want to like see just how impactful their weapon is. If you get super lucky, you can like see what you can pull, so like details, and then you can like, this is the rate up for it. It's just similar to the pulling the hero, but then they give extra benefits. So let me see. Okay, yeah. So here's like the weapons, and then based on like, for example, my character, this is going to be the one that is specific to Tsukiyomi, and then it actually changes things specifically to her. So I would have to get incredibly lucky for this, because there's all of these different versions, and they do give you better stats than the 4-star version or the 3-star version, but you really want to hit your main functor here. And then how people have been talking about it, like that have been playing the game for a while, it's like, okay, this character really wants their functor, other people don't really care about it too much. Depends on the character you pull. I don't know where it's at yet, but I would say for this character, this looks really good. You know, it increases the attack, you know, each time you have the Seal of Thunder. So when you're applying that with your skill 1 or your skill 2, then when you clear it, then you gain this attack percentage for a bit. And then you also gain an extra modifier when the more rage you have, the more damage you'll deal. So I think this is actually going to be a pretty big damage increase if I had to guess. So that's kind of how the game works a little bit. My thoughts on it. I think it's been really clean so far. I like it. You actually get level up energy, you know, unlike Honkai Star Rail. So I'm not running out of shit to do so fast. You also have the supplies here. This is just the typical stuff. So you have the main story you do. When you run out of main story stuff, you go to supplies, here, whatever you need, and then you go back to the main story. Like, for example, going to chapter 6, I was level 29, and then you need to be 30 for it. So then I was just doing stuff here. This is like relics. If you play Honkai, like this is the normal gearing system. You would just be able to farm this. One thing I really like about this is you actually get to choose what you want to farm. So I have the thunder damage dealing character. So then I want the one that gives me thunder damage here. But these are always in these games, usually not worth farming early. It's just always the case. You always want to wait for a 5-star version, and you could farm these maybe a little early. You know, you always want something. It's just really going to depend on how strong you are, what characters you have when you're struggling, and then you might want to invest in that kind of stuff. But just keep that in mind. I think the challenge system is really cool. They have all this stuff on launch. A lot of these games usually take a bit. They'll have like 1 or 2, and then they'll slowly release these. Whereas nowadays, I think to be competitive, you really need to have these all ready to go. This system here, that's going to be, I believe you need multiple teams for this. I haven't really looked into this too much. The one that I like, potentially, I want to try this, but I think this is going to be really good. This is like a weekly reset, and then you have different bosses. Like, so you take in a team and kill that boss, and then I believe what happens is it's going to like lock those characters down, and then you can take on this boss. So you need to have multiple teams build up eventually. I think that's going to be way down the future. I think right now, as you progress through the game, you unlock more stuff. That's going to be the move. So far, first thoughts, I'm liking the game. I'm going to give it a shot. The other games I play don't really take much time of my day to like play them and actually go through. So this one is definitely more hands-on. Like, I'm going to have to spend way more time playing this, but I'm having a lot of fun. I think it's good. So I'm going to cut to, I have like some pre-recorded footage of the combat, my opinion on the combat. So I want to show that. Okay. So I think this character is really good at showcasing the combat system in this game. She's actually pretty unique in the sense that you have the normal 3 moves. If I double press my X button and then press right bumper, that's going to be a move. If I double press Y button and then press right bumper, that's going to be a different move. If I go YX in that order, then press right bumper, that's going to be a different move. And if I go XY, then right bumper, it's a different move. So I think this character really highlights just how cool the combat system is in this game. And then this is going to change for every character in the game. And she's just one of the most unique versions of them. And then I also think this is a cool character to highlight because eventually you can, every account's going to get this with like about a month of grinding. So you get to see that this is something that you're always going to be able to get eventually, and one of the more unique characters to showcase how the combat system works in this game. So I think this is a, if I can actually, I don't know how to play her, but here's an example of what you'll notice how her moves change, and it's just gonna be based on what order I press them in. So I just did double Y there, and then that's her move now. I'll do double X, kind of comes up and does the gunshots up there. I'm gonna do XY. And also I believe she has different elements. So that was XY there, and then her right bumper. That was YX. A different move. We just got her into this state. I like that YX. Seemed good. And then this is her ult. I'm just spamming that. YX. Okay. And then that's a kill. So I think she's really cool. I ended up pulling her on a different account, but I ended up getting a better free-to-play account on a different reroll, and I'm dropping that account. And then also it's because you get her guaranteed, so it's kind of not worth keeping the account. But I thought this was a good opportunity to showcase the combat system, because you get to just play her at 611 there. Let's actually do this. Here's the reroll I got, and I think this is just like absolutely disgusting. It was like first pull the main banner hero, which is incredibly lucky, and then first pull this character, which synergizes well because they're on the same faction here, and I believe they gain extra benefits when you have 2 characters of the same faction, and then based on that faction you get different buffs. So it's like best DPS, and then according to people that have been playing this game, because this game came out in other countries early, it's been out for a year, she's like an S tier damage dealer for the next year. Like she's right up there. It's kind of like Honkai Star Rail Seal busted, she's busted too. So a pretty sick reroll here. But here, let's actually, I want to do one more example of the combat system, and this is the normal way to do it, where you have a team of 3, and the 2 others are, you don't switch in between them like Genshin. They're just controlled by the computer. This is a boss right here. So you're supposed to do your Y first, and then that's going to set the mark. So you got your mark there. Let me set it. Set that, and then you can right bumper, and then you set this again, and then you can right bumper again, and then do the big nuke. And then if you have her signature, then you wait for your rage bar to go up to 100%, then do it. But signature is going to be difficult to get. It's going to require some gacha. And this is like she's a healer that every free-to-play, she's going to be like one of the free-to-play best characters to get, because everyone gets her, and you're going to get her dupes, which are going to make her way stronger. So I think she's going to be like a staple character that most people get, is Poseidon. One thing that's kind of confusing probably is that there's there's different versions of the same character. So like I could pull Tsukiyomi, like I have the S tier version of Tsukiyomi, but you can also pull an A tier version, or it's a completely different kit, and she even looks different. Keep that in mind. But I think that I just want to keep this conversation focused on the combat, and I think the combat's actually really good, and then the actual moves you can do, the combos you can do are pretty interesting. And that's going to be different on every single character. And then they'll have you, as you go through the campaign, showcase other characters, maybe not necessarily S tier heroes, but they're like A tier heroes. And even those kits are really cool in this game. So I think it's a lot of fun with the combat. And it feels smooth. Like a lot of these games, they'll have like a lazy UI, or they'll have like, so it feels clunky, but I'm playing this on BlueStacks with a controller and it feels really smooth and really responsive. All right, guys. Well, that is my thoughts on Aether Gazer here. So far, having a lot of fun, but I'm sure, as you guys know, when it comes to these games, that opinion could change. These games are intentionally designed to give you a really good experience early, and then later on as it goes, potentially it could either be, you know, pretty reasonable, or it could be super annoying. It just depends on how they want to do their end game, how they want to limit your resources, and if it actually feels bad, or, you know, it always is what it is. But I think a lot of these games do it in some super aggressive ways, and some of them do it in a pretty realistic way. So we'll have to see when we get to that point. But I think I'm still firmly in like honeymoon phase when it comes to these games, and I'm curious to see how it's going to go later on. Like what kind of content we have. Am I just logging in for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, getting all my resources done, and then logging off? Or am I actually able to meaningfully play content even if I don't necessarily have energy? So I guess we'll find out here in the near future, but you can expect a few more videos at least on this game. Here's to hear your thoughts on if you're going to give it a shot. And with that, guys, I'm out of here. Peace.